My name is Ian and welcome to Planted. In this video I'm going to convince you that you absolutely need a greenhouse, because once you've got a greenhouse, growing plants just changes to a whole new experience. But I've got 5 points I want to share with you, and at the end of those 5 points you'll be able to make an informed decision as to whether you should invest in some sort of greenhouse structure. So these 5 points are very easy. You'll be able to follow along. There's nothing overly technical. And the first thing is the construction. Now, there's essentially 3 types of greenhouse. You've got a turnkey, architecture designed, and a crew will come in and build it. Beautiful, incredibly detailed. They also come at a price tag, and not everybody's going to be able to afford a greenhouse built that way. If you look in glossy garden magazines, there's lots of companies out there that will come and build you a greenhouse. They are beautiful. At the other end of the scale, at the complete other end of the scale, you've got these little structures that are really essentially pipe and plastic, and they do help you in April and May here in the Northern Hemisphere. It might let you put outside some cuttings a little bit earlier. They're best used when the frost is gone, but they're very lightweight and they really don't have a long lifespan. And then right in the middle, you've got something like I have here. This is called solar wrap here in the States, and in England it's called Cada. And you have galvanized steel hoops and this special plastic that lasts up to 10 years. This has absolutely exceeded my expectations. A great friend of mine, Jason, helped me build this. And that was 18 months ago. And there's a link in the description about how it was built and why I built it. So you've got to decide on your method of construction. Is a crew going to do it for you? Are you going to build it yourself? And then you have to decide if it's freestanding or if it's a lean-to structure. Mine is a lean-to structure, and I think that's the reason it's exceeded my expectations. With it being attached to a building, 3 real benefits. It's very, very strong. I get thermal gain from a brick wall connected to the building. And also I have easy access. I can walk from the building into my greenhouse without going outside. So I think there's a lot to be said for having a lean-to structure. Mine's not lean-to on one side, it's actually lean-to on 2 sides. So I've got lots of access, lots of thermal mass, and I get great height for a relatively small footprint. So this worked for me. My lean-to structure really is standout. So your construction, who's building it, where's it going to go, what's it going to be built out of, and those are some things that you have to consider very, very early on in your decision process. The next consideration is heating and ventilation. You must have reliable heating and ventilation. In the wintertime, obviously the heat's very important, but you do need to get air change. And as you move through the spring, you'll be adding less heat and more ventilation. You don't want your greenhouse to be so enclosed that the temperature spikes and it can't cool down. So remember this, you are creating an environment, a stable, reliable environment in which plants can grow. So pay a lot of attention to the heating that you need and also reliable ventilation. This question is where I think most people fall down. What are you going to grow? How are you going to use your greenhouse? Now, for my situation, I want to use it 10 months of the year. I'm not doing anything in it in July and August. It's just too hot. Even with vents open, all my plants are outside. The propagation I've done, I've given away to friends, and also it's gone to my customers. So mine is a 10-month proposition, and I require heating in the winter months, frost-free, which is the area I'm in now, and then in my secondary greenhouse, which is built inside my greenhouse, that's kept at 45 to 50, sometimes a little bit warmer, depending on the temperature outside, because I don't want it to drop. So if I know it's going to be really, really cold, I will deliberately heat it just a little bit hotter. And my 10-month proposition that I use my greenhouse means that I can do perennial plant division, which I love doing. I dig up plants in my garden, bring them to my greenhouse, divide them, put them into pots, overwinter them, and they can put out roots ready for next year. I do a lot of seed and I do a lot of cuttings. And in addition to that, I overwinter tender plants. I've got some really nice choice plants, very easy to grow, but they don't grow outside in Connecticut. They need a frost-free environment, and this is just perfect. So you need to decide that. Maybe you want to grow vegetable plants and you want to start them in March, April and May. That's a 3-month proposition, and you've got no interest in doing anything in the fall. Well, your purchase of your greenhouse needs to reflect that. Don't get in the habit of buying a packet of seeds, growing everything in that packet of seed. You want 5 plants and you end up with 50. Your greenhouse will become too small too quickly, and these plants, you won't know where to put them, you'll have so many. What's next on our list of 5? A greenhouse is not a shed, it's not a dumping ground, it's not a store. Think of it as an airport for plants. You've got plants arriving, you've got plants going, and it needs to be set up so that it can absolutely perform those duties of a greenhouse. Don't be tempted to start renovating forklift trucks or storing motors or boats, or even a wheelbarrow should not be in the greenhouse. That's not what you want. So you could probably get a smaller greenhouse, which would make it more affordable, by having that determination that you're not going to just use it as a dumping ground and as a shed. If you want a shed, get a shed. If you want a greenhouse, the intention is that you're going to grow some plants. Now, the last thing on my list of 5 is a potting bench, a propagation bench, which is what you see behind me. It's vital that you have bags of growing medium, clippers, watering cans, fertilizer, pot, trays, and this is where the magic happens. And having an area set up, and it doesn't need to be very big, it can be 6 feet by 6 feet, you'll be amazed at what you can do. When I bring a plant in here and I operate on it, and the sun's out and it's, high 30s outside, but inside it's 60 degrees, this is a wonderful place just to come and lose yourself so that you can focus on the job at hand. I think that it's important that I wrap this up with saying that a greenhouse won't make you a better gardener. You have to have the intention to use it properly yourself. And it's a little bit like having really nice golf clubs. It won't necessarily lower your handicap. Or having a very nice car, it doesn't mean that you can drive around at over 100 miles an hour. Or having a gym membership, it won't necessarily make you fitter unless you use it. A greenhouse will let you flex your horticultural skills, the likes of which you can never imagine. Now, I would recommend that you start off with a frost-free greenhouse, have a year of that under your belt, learn how it works, and then the next year build a smaller greenhouse inside that, and then heat that to a higher temperature, and gradually grow into your greenhouse production, rather than jumping in the deep end and thinking, well, I've got a greenhouse, all my plants are magically going to grow by themselves. It doesn't work that way. So let me leave you with this thought. If you had chosen to build a greenhouse 2 years ago, right about now, you would have the biggest grin across your face because you would have been able to maximize its production. And you've got to look forward to the spring, summer, fall and winter ahead, knowing that the greenhouse is your resource. So I encourage you, in 2 years' time, don't look back and wish you'd got a greenhouse, because you can have it right now. Bye for now.